So, picture this. It's early 2026, and you've got two massive government stories unfolding at the exact same time. On one hand, you have what's being billed as the most transparent, largest document release in recent memory. But on the other hand, you have some very senior people sounding the alarm about a deep, political purge happening inside America's national security agencies. Today, we're going to look at how these two explosive stories ended up colliding. And it really all kicked off with this, an official statement from the Department of Justice. The message here couldn't be clearer. We are doing what we promised. We are being transparent for the American people. This was the government planting its flag, setting the official narrative right from the get-go. So let's dig into that official story for a minute, because the government didn't just release a bunch of documents. No, they presented this as this incredible, Herculean effort in public transparency. The mission was to pull back the curtain on the entire Epstein investigation, once and for all.
I mean, the sheer scale of this is just staggering. The Department of Justice began with this ocean of data, over 6 million pages. They deliberately cast the widest net possible. They basically over-collected on purpose to make absolutely sure no one could accuse them of missing something.
So how do you even begin to sift through an ocean of data like that? Well, you throw a massive amount of people at it. More than 500 attorneys and reviewers were put on this project. And the way the administration framed it, this wasn't some side project, this was a top-tier, all-hands-on-deck priority. And the final tally after all that work? A release of almost 3.5 million pages. We're talking documents, videos, images, the whole shebang. And from the government's point of view, that number wasn't just data, it was proof. It was them saying, see, we delivered on the Epstein Files Transparency Act. And listen, this wasn't just some big, messy document dump. The DOJ was very careful to lay out this meticulous, multi-step process. You had that first big review by the huge team, then a second-level review by 40 specialized attorneys, and then even more quality control from teams in New York and Florida. The whole point was to show they were balancing transparency with the absolute critical need to protect the identities of the victims. Okay, so the government is out there painting this picture of a perfect, totally transparent process for the public to see, but at the exact same time, a completely different story was starting to bubble up from inside the intelligence community. And this was a story of a system in total crisis. And this counter-narrative was really being driven by Senator Mark Warner, who is the vice chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee. So he's a serious player. And the picture he was painting was starkly different. He was saying the administration wasn't focused on openness at all, but on political retaliation. Just listen to the language he used in this speech on the Senate floor. An escalation of political retaliation, the hollowing out of expertise, outright manipulation of intelligence. I mean, Warner was not mincing words here. He was alleging a full-blown campaign to tear down the independence of the country's security agencies. And this wasn't about just one or two things he was upset about. Warner's allegations stretched across the entire security apparatus. He was talking about purges at the FBI, leadership being tossed out at the NSA and the Defense Intelligence Agency, and the gutting of CISA, which is our top cybersecurity agency. The pattern he laid out was broad and, frankly, deeply troubling. And to make it really hit home, Warner gave some powerful, specific examples. He talked about thousands of experienced FBI agents being forced out. And these weren't just any agents. These were the heads of counterterrorism, of cyber defense, of intelligence. He was claiming this had nothing to do with job performance and everything to do with political loyalty. So now we've got these two parallel storylines, right? The massive, transparent document release and this alleged political purge. The key question is, where do they connect? How did one story get tangled up in the other? And this right here, this is the moment. This is when it all came together. The Director of National Intelligence revokes the security clearances for 37 officials. Now, the administration might see that as a standard security move, but Senator Warner? He saw it as a pure political maneuver. He called it, quote, a sad attempt to distract from the administration's failure to release the Epstein files. He literally drew a straight line connecting the two events. So what this leaves us with are two incredibly powerful and completely conflicting stories. Both of them are grounded in official government actions and statements. One is a story of unprecedented openness. The other, a story of unprecedented political interference. Let's just put them right next to each other because the contrast is pretty wild. On one side, you have the administration's story, we are engaged in a massive transparency effort for you, the people. And on the other side, the senator's allegation, you are witnessing a political purge designed to consolidate power and, more importantly, distract you. It's just a fundamental clash over what was actually happening. Now, it's really important to say our goal here isn't to declare a winner. It's not to tell you who was right and who was wrong. The whole point of this explainer is just to lay out that tension exactly as it appears in the source material, to show you how a government can be making this grand public case for its own transparency, while at the very same time, it's facing these incredibly serious accusations of political manipulation behind the scenes. And that really leaves us with a final crucial question. When a government does something that looks like a massive act of public transparency, but its motives are being seriously questioned at the same time, what does that do to public trust? It really forces us to ask, what matters more, the simple act of releasing the information, or our belief that the government is doing it in good faith?